and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things lipedema. So today's guest is Hannah. Hi Hannah.
Hello.
Hi. So today we are talking about parenting and more specifically being a parent whilst going through surgery. So I know that's something you're personally going through at the minute, and yeah, I think this is going to be a great topic, and it'd be really interesting to get your perspective.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for having me on. So I got diagnosed in 2020, and my daughter now is 10 years old, and I'd known, I guess, from before I was pregnant, really, that there was something not quite right with my body. I was very, very small on my top and really bigger on my bottom. But when I got pregnant, I realised that there was something definitely wrong. My legs completely swelled up, and I really, really struggled with my pregnancy and then after my pregnancy. And I think then that was when the pain in the lipedema developed for me. There was a lot of swelling, and I found mobility more difficult than I had before pregnancy. And I think a lot of ladies, from speaking to a lot of ladies, have said that this can happen because we know it's hormone related, I guess.
Yeah.
So I still didn't know then, but I knew that there was something definitely wrong, and I went down all the different routes of dieting and anything I could try, exercise, and I got my top half of my figure back, but my legs remained very, very big and very, very painful and sore. My bottom had just grown humongous, and I started not being able to get clothes to fit me. People were kind of noticing, and I guess it became quite difficult because I'm a single mum. I was a single mum from the day me was born. So it became quite difficult because when we were going to things like theme parks and things like that, I remember one day we went and we had those little swings, carousels.
Yes.
And she didn't want to go on her own. She was only little, and I went to go on with her, and they actually asked me to get off the ride because I was too big.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely mortified. And as a single mum, you're doing things on your own. I mean, a lot of women will go out with the children on their own anyway, won't they? But I was on my own with her, and I thought, well, she's not going to be able to go on this ride because of my size. And it was like, and I didn't know I'd got lipedema then at that point. Thankfully, a lovely lady actually took her on, but just like the disappointment really started to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, last year I think was my lowest point with sort of parenting and lipedema, because we've always gone camping. Myself and me, we've always gone camping. It's quite active. I don't know, have you ever been camping?
I probably have before, and there's probably a reason I've not done it since. I'm not a camper, I don't think.
You're either a camper or you're not. But we definitely have been up until last year, and we went to Cornwall, and I think my mobility was it's very hilly in Cornwall. I just literally could not walk. And I remember going to the beach one day and thinking, I can't walk up this hill. And it was really like a moment of low. And I knew then, obviously, I'd been diagnosed with lipedema. I knew it was progressing, and my mobility was deteriorating greatly. And in the hot weather, in compression, you just can't move properly, can you?
No.
And I just thought, I need to do something about this. I can't carry on. I'm 40 this year. I can't carry on with my daughter not being able to do things with her, not being able to sort of go in the sea with her, go walking, going on bike rides. I can't carry on like this because it was only getting worse. So at that point, I decided I needed surgery, but I hadn't got a clue I was going to do it and fund it. So that was kind of how things developed. Surgery wise, I think a lot of people message me on Instagram and say, how have you done surgery with a child? And I think that's, as a single person or, you know, with a partner, it's difficult to do surgery with kids because I guess you're a little bit fearful of what they might see, because sometimes, well, it is a gruesome process, let's be honest.
Yeah.
we don't set ourselves up, do we, for what's going to happen really in surgery.
No, and like I said previous, you don't know until it's happening as well.
No.
Yeah.
You don't. So that's the concern. But I guess for me, it's just been being honest and open with my daughter and saying, you know, sometimes mummy might be tired, mummy might need to sleep, but mummy's going to get better. And I think ultimately she's known that this time next year, hopefully, we are going to be going on bike rides. She's already seen, with me having my lowers done, that I can walk a lot further. So she's seen a change already. Yeah. So I'm hoping that's sort of spurring her along this journey, really. It's about making it fun, and, you know, I don't know, did you use easy slides with getting your compression on and off?
No, I've not used them before.
How did you get your compression on and off? Flipping heck, it was
just painful.
So painful.
Yeah.
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 So painful.
That's the Germans for you, they don't mind. They want to toughen me up.
Get it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you put the slide sheets on before you put your compression on. So now Mia's name is Chief Easy Slider. That's like her little game that she does. It's about making it, involving them and not kind of shutting them out of the process, and just that awareness. But I also get messages about how can you leave your child for so long. So the first surgery I did, I went on my own, and my daughter stayed with my mum, and it was really difficult. It was, but I think it was 10 days out of a life, and, you know, this is going to impact it for so much longer, so many more years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last surgery that I've just been on, my mum actually came with my daughter, and again, it was absolutely fine. She spent a lot more time on a tablet than she usually does. But yeah, it was fine, and she chose not to come into the room when my mum was helping me with getting my compression on and off. But again, just kind of shared that what was happening with her.
Yeah, obviously, if you don't want to speak about it, you don't have to. But I'm interested to know how you deal with kind of the emotional side of from your child to, because obviously it's a difficult process for us, but it's also difficult for them to understand what's happening, especially when they're 10 and under. I wondered if you've had any difficult moments, or if there's any tips on just making the process easier for children.
Yeah, I think I don't know, with being in a single parent, let's say, we've always been very close, and I can't comment on anybody else's relationship. I'm very sure that some of my friends that are married are extremely close to their children as well. But me and Mia have always been, we've always been able to talk. We always have a time at the end of the day where we think about negatives and then we think about the positives. And I think the most difficult time for me was leaving her, and her knowing that I was in hospital somewhere else. So bedtime for my mum, getting her to sleep at night, was quite difficult. And I think once I'd had the surgery and she knew I was out, and I'd spoke to her straight away after and said, Mummy's out of the operation, I'm fine, she did seem to calm. While I was in Madrid, we spent evenings, every evening I would FaceTime her, and we would read a story, or she'd read a story to me, and we'd still have that time that we have at home. So, how's your day been? How are you feeling? So I tried to keep it within that routine as much as I possibly could, being in a different country.
Yeah.
But I do think that she does seem really resilient with it, and I think the longer term benefits that she's already seeing, that's what we're trying to focus on. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I have been fortunate, really. Yeah.
I guess it's after the first operation when you start seeing symptoms reduce, and she can see, that you're getting better, as it were. Then she'll know for next time what the process is, and it sounds like just being open with them. And I suppose what we should all probably do with children, regardless of surgery, is talk to them and ask them how they are and if they're having any thoughts or feelings.
I think kids are just so resilient, aren't they? Children, they're just like, she amazes me. The kids do amaze me. I am very fortunate with my mum, because my mum is almost like a second parent to her, really. So she feels very, very safe with my mum when she's there. And she gets absolutely spoiled rotten as well.
That's what she's there for.
But I mean, I've written down here some sort of pointers, like the mum guilt of it, and I'm sure people, and it's not just mums, I suppose, this surgery costs so much, and not just financially, but emotionally, and it impacts your life for such a long period of time, doesn't it? That those around you, it doesn't just affect yourself, does it? It's everybody around you. With work and everything, really. So I suppose that guilt there as a mum, you know, I'm spending all this money when I could be spending it on something else. You know, we could be going to Disneyland or something like that. But ultimately, the way that I kind of try to look at it now is that it's an investment for our future. And if I didn't have this surgery, where would I be in 5 or 10 years' time?
Like knowing that it's progressive, and also it's a disease. It's not cosmetic as much as some people would like to say. I guess to a point it's kind of necessary, especially for people that, like yourself, who were really struggling. I mean, I was as well, with my symptoms, mobility, just everything.
And it's just realising why we've done it, isn't it? And reminding ourselves of that, really. I had a question about the process of being in Madrid. So it's specific to Madrid. So obviously that's where I've had my surgery. So I can only answer for there, and not any other surgeon or country. But going into Lipoediema, they do like you to kind of have somebody with you if possible, but they do have sort of care agencies and things like that you can contact over in Madrid. So, for example, the first time I went, I was on my own, so I could have accessed a care agency if I'd have needed to. Thankfully, I didn't need to, and I managed. The second time, with my daughter going, my mum went in with me in the morning with my daughter and met the doctor. It was all absolutely fine. He was really friendly with her and lovely, made her feel at ease, was joking, and, you know, it was brilliant. And then I made the choice to send them on the way. So they went out for the day, because I didn't want Mia seeing me go down on the hospital bed, because I thought that's a bit
scary, isn't it?
A bit too much, but and also I was holding myself together for her. So if I just wanted a little cry, I could have done.
No, it's scary. I remember, like, every time I've had surgery, it just gets real all of a sudden when they bring you your gown and your stockings, and you're like, oh, it's happening. And even though you know it is, it's weird, and you do get emotional, because you're like, you think of the recovery to come and all that stuff. Once you've had surgery, you have to recover, and from experience, it's hard when you are on your own. So I can't even imagine what it's like having a child to look after. I wonder what your experience with that has been like, and how you've managed to look after yourself physically and emotionally whilst looking after children.
As you say, recovery recovery is a journey, isn't it? It is really difficult at times. I think when I was in Madrid initially, because you're on such heavy painkillers, I was fortunate that my mum was with us. So I did have periods where I'd just take myself off to bed and just have a little sleep in the afternoon, and I was assured that Mia was with my mum. So whilst we were there, that was absolutely fine because my mum was cooking and all sorts for us. It was when we got home that and I'm in the house on my own with her, and by all means my mum would have stayed, and I've also got a dog as well, so
oh God,
just to add that
yeah
my choice, obviously. My mum would have been here if I'd have really needed her to, but I thought, well, I'd done the first operation on my own, so I was sure I could do this, but I think with my second op I was just so much more tired. So I'm not going to lie, when she was at school, I slept most of the day.
Yeah, you need to though. It's
because I just couldn't function otherwise. I went back to work last Monday, and I just think, oh no, my house. But you can't. I think for me, I've realised over this past year is you can't do everything.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And you've got to prioritise, haven't you? And to me is my priority.
Yeah.
So when she's at home and she's not at school, it's practically before I'd gone, I'd batch cooked loads of stuff and put it all in the freezer. I'd tried to organise like as much uniform and everything, all the clothes were clean, so I'd not got stuff to come back and do.
Yeah, no, they're really good tips, like really practical things to
so
do.
Definitely with the batch cooking, if you've made loads of food, then you've just got to literally put it in the microwave or oven and warm it up. That was really good. So I was kind of thanking myself for that when I got home.
No, it's a great tip actually. Yeah, I wouldn't even think of that. Obviously, I don't have children, so.
Emotion-wise, actually, when you mentioned about your husband, being a single person, I think I recognise now that, at the end of the day, you've not got that person to just give you a hug and say, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Because that for me has been really difficult through this, and continues to be difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got loads of amazing friends, really supportive friends, but it's not the same, is it, as being
this is it.
in a relationship. But it's just, it brings out the resilience in us, doesn't it? And we all have different things and different hurdles through this process that we have to battle. Yeah, I just think it makes us it's made us so resilient, this disease, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. I always say I can't imagine doing that, but you have to do it. You can't just go, oh, I'm having a day off today, I'm not going to parent you. So it's like you really don't have a choice, you've got to. But yeah, it sounds like she's doing really well and coping really well, so that's good.
Yeah.
And your mum sounds like a legend as well.
Oh, my mum's, just absolutely amazing. Yeah, she is. And other things, I suppose, practically is making sure you've done everything the night before. So when we get back into the routine of school and work, because your whole routine of putting on all your creams and everything in the morning and then getting your compression on's like a job in itself, isn't it? Before you've done anything else.
Yeah.
So making sure you've been organised kind of the night before, so you're not rushing.
Yeah.
And you can kind of feel a bit calmer going into the next day. Yeah. I've got one of those this time round. I've got one of those pill organising boxes, which is brilliant. So she'll say sometimes in the morning, "Mum, you've not taken that one."
Oh, that's good of her reminding you.
Like, who's the mother here?
Well, that's it. I mean, I don't know. You don't want to put your children through things like this, but for us, we need this surgery, and it's just going to teach her life skills, and I suppose that's a positive way of looking at it.
Yeah.
She's not being damaged by it, It's short term, like you've said. And yeah, she's learning how to empathise with people, and
That's it.
yeah, and look after her mum, and understand that all bodies are different, and bodies
Yeah.
sometimes need more help.
She's like the top lipedema diagnosis. She's
Oh,
like
is she?
diagnosis person. Yeah. She's like, Mummy. Well, it first started off with, Mummy, that lady over there's got lipedema. And I'm like, no, we can't shout that in the street.
Oh, bless
Let's
her.
just tell Mummy, and then we'll see if we can help that person. But I've never been one to sort of go up and let somebody know about the diagnosis. I know some people do, but it's not something
I'm not brave enough to. I can't talk to people normally anyway. Never mind a stranger. I'd stumble over my words all the time. I'd be just, yeah, I'm too nervous for that. But no, yeah, I can see that it needs to happen, because you go to the doctor and you're fobbed off and told that you this and you that. So sometimes you do need that kind of input. But yeah, it is a bit scary doing it to strangers, because you don't know who you're going to speak to.
That childlike belief, though, isn't it? You know, like, well, I'll just tell them, and then they'll know, and everything will be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is, you know, I am happy in that sense that she's learning about empathy. She's learning that, like you say, everybody's different. We're all made differently. Yeah.
And also that you're inspirational to her, that you are managing to do something for yourself, to look after yourself, even though, like, we all feel guilty looking after ourselves. It is inspirational, because you're doing it for her, and she'll know that, and she'll thank you for it. Yeah. Oh.
And I think that's it, isn't it? You know, it's soppy, isn't it? But I am doing it for her. She's the reason I get up in the morning. She's the reason that I'm doing all of this. At my really lowest, darkest times, when I was sat on that beach in Cornwall last year, and I could have just, well, let's not go there. But I did it for her.
Yeah.
And that's it, isn't it?
Brill. Right, well, we'll wrap it up there, if that's okay.
Fine, yes,
yeah.
No problem.
Thank you for joining me today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, no, that was really good. That was really interesting. It's like a perspective I can't give, and I'm sure, well, there's definitely hundreds of people out there with children, and yeah, it's brilliant that you're happy to talk about it and go into, like, the sides, like the emotional side and whatnot of having children with surgery.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming along and joining. Thanks so much to Hannah for joining me today and talking about a great topic, something that I can't give my 2 cents to, but I'm sure many of you will have enjoyed watching that. And yeah, I hope that we can do a part 2. To find me on Instagram, my username is @fat_bottom_Amy. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Liking videos really helps, so please give it a thumbs up, and I hope you'll join me for the next video. Bye!